Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Lowe from Gamma, and I'm here today with my colleagues Rob Pipler and Jamie Callahan to talk about the wonderful subject of IoT. So, guys, how are things going? Because obviously we're preparing for our big launch of IoT in the market. How are things going with you, Jamie, and on your preparations?
Yeah, good. So I'm Jamie Callahan, Product Marketing Manager for Mobile and IoT. It's the last 6 months or so is building that go-to-market plan across the different routes to market. So that will be Gamma Enterprise and Gamma Business side in the channel. So we've been putting that together, working with yourself and Rob's team and our sales specialists.
Akin to Jamie, we've been working really hard, speaking to some partners that have already got some skill in the game. So thanks to those that have already helped us out a little bit. And then from Ganaverse, then that's the pivot to kind of going to market, going to launch, working with the partners over some opportunities and hopefully getting some connections on the board then really. So the specialists will be fully geared up.
Yeah.
We'll give them some training by then and make sure that they've got everything that they need. And then my aim is to get partners accredited essentially. So they have to sit through some sort of accreditation on the portal. Akin to some of the other products, I don't really want to give keys to the castle until we've at least tested some stuff or made them aware of what they've got access to, because it is such wide. It's got such breadth to it, and there's so many moving parts that I want to make sure that people are sort of mildly educated, which makes it sound all right, really formal and anti-sales, but it absolutely isn't. It's just a case of preparation. Yeah. So preparation is key. We've done all that we can moving up to Gamaverse, and then, as I say, I'm repeating myself, but post Gamaverse, then we'll get out there and get into the market and help some people across the line, and then it will just be. I'm hoping really, really busy throughout the latter part of the year and the early part of New Year when it really starts to get its legs. So that's the aim in my mind. I think the dates are all there, and there'll be some dates mentioned at Gamaverse. Don't know if we're going to mention any now here, but I think let's be honest, it's going to be sort of January 25 when we're all in place across all of the partners.
For the big kickoff,
and things there for the big one.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth me just explaining for the for the audience what it is we're going to be delivering. So we may have mentioned some of this before, but essentially we have a German business called Epsilon, and I think on one of the earlier podcasts we were doing at least, maybe one or two, we did with Christian Krug, who's the managing director of the Epsilon business in Germany. And they had already built an IoT platform. So essentially this is a portal, fully API'd. So if a partner wants to consume our APIs and make this part of their broader IoT offering, they're absolutely welcome to do that. And then behind this portal, within this platform, essentially, we have a number of operators that we've plugged in. So what these network operators give us really is roaming access all over the world. And there's a real difference between a traditional roaming agreement, which you or I would use from our network operator when we go abroad on holiday or we go abroad on business. They're intended for temporary usage. So you go to a country overseas, you use the service, you come back. The difference with IoT is that quite often the device is going to be permanently in a particular country, and therefore you need an agreement that allows permanent roaming. So there is a different commercial agreement. But apart from that, it essentially works like roaming. So in the UK, for example, we've got 6 or 7 different agreements that we're able to use because of Epsilon's previous work on this with overseas operators that gives us access to all 4 UK networks. And what that means is that we can provide a Gamma IoT SIM. I'm not giving anything away by saying that the brand is Fusion. It's Fusion IoT. You can put that in your device and you will then have access to all 4 networks and connect to the strongest signal. So it improves the resiliency of the service, let's say. It also gives you an extended coverage reach. Having said that, not all IoT applications require full resilience. And, if you're in a good signal area and, if the local cell site goes down, it doesn't cause you a major problem. You can collect the data later. then a single network solution is perfectly valid and viable. It's all about, do you need information in real time?
Okay.
And if you don't, then single network solution is definitely something to look at, because it will be cheaper. But it still gives you a very, very, very good solution.
Would you say this single network solution, that's for a use case in a static location, and then for a use case where you might have a fleet of trucks going around the UK for trekking purposes, that's where you would use a multi-network SIM?
It can be both. So I think if you've got a SIM in a static location and you're supporting a critical application, so you can't afford for the service ever to go down. And let's be honest, all network operators have outages from time to time at the radio level, in the core network. So sometimes you really need that resilience.
Yeah.
So even if you're in a good signal area on the single network, sometimes if you need kind of to be connected all the time to the network, then multi-network is a good option. Similarly, we've been running trials with, large customers of ours who've been driving around the UK with both a single network and a multi-network solution. And they've run them in tandem. So something like 97 or 98% of the traffic goes on our Gamma Mobile 3 UK SIM. But where that signal drops, then it will revert to the secondary SIM and it will pick up the strongest available network. Yeah.
And that's a seamless sort of connection between those networks.
It's pretty much seamless. Yeah. I mean, you actually, if you're in mid data transfer, that just continues. So you don't lose it and have to start again. And it's a matter of, a second or two to switch over to the secondary SIM. So it's pretty seamless. So yeah, I mean, that's the core essentially of what we're doing. Some exciting upgrades will be coming over the coming months. So we are going to add satellite to the solution as well. So obviously, if you're in the marine industry, you will know that, large parts of the oceans, there's no mobile coverage from a terrestrial network. Yeah. So something like 85% of the Earth's service is not covered by a terrestrial mobile service. So in those circumstances, we can revert to satellite. So that will be coming in the next few months if that's essential for people. And you can also see that applying to, say, a lone worker type solution as well, where somebody's really in a remote area and you may not have any signal on any network.
So there's an element of choice there that people will have, which is fantastic, because we've got the single network options, the multi-network options. People, as you said, that will take both for resiliency. That's probably going to make mine and your job, I wouldn't say a little bit harder, because it's already been quite challenging getting a product that's already existing in a foreign language. But it makes our job quite interesting, because we've got to put that into a digestible and educating format so that our partners know that they can buy that from us, and how to order it, make sure they're ordering the correct thing off the portal, train their staff on it, so they know they've got access to all of these solutions as well. So that'll be quite good for us, because from working with Gamma Mobile, a single network at MVNO perspective, I wouldn't say it's been easy, but I'm used to one network.
Yeah.
So having the choice of several, and I'm presuming the tariffing options will work certain ways on certain networks as well. Then we're going to be creating a lot of collateral, and a lot of education is going to be leaving our team over the next 6 and 12 months, which is great.
I think as well what it does is it gives our partners and customers confidence in the solution. Whatever the use case, whatever that may be, we have got a solution to help them, and a connectivity, an IoT platform that can help them manage and monitor their usage. So yeah, as you said, a lot of work to do, but giving our partners confidence that they've got that solution.
Yeah, and I think actually, we're quite proud of it. We, as you know, obviously we've got various types of radio technology in play in mobile networks. So, we still have 2G live on a number of networks, and that's probably going to be around until 2027 and beyond. And there are a lot of IoT devices out there already that still use 2G. So thinking about, communication in lifts, for example, where you need to press the alert button and talk to somebody. A lot of those still need 2G. So over the period of time, we're going to have to think about how we deal with those, because 2G will be phased out. But also, 4G, I'm going to ignore 3G because that is being phased out right now, but 4G and 5G. And then in the IoT world, we have something called narrowband technology as well. So we would know this as NB-IoT, narrowband IoT, or you may hear a similar technology, which is also narrowband, which is LTE-M or Cat4. You'll sometimes hear it called.
Cat4? Cat4.
Category 4, yeah. So that's a narrowband application of 4G. And the benefit of that for customers is that it is far less draining on battery life, right? So a device could be stuck at the top of a lamppost or a wind turbine, and you don't really want to be attending to that device every few months to change the battery or whatever. So, that will allow a battery life of up to 10 years. And it's because there's so little power required to actually communicate over those radio technologies. Now, not all operators support those technologies. So, talking about, we've got to make it easier for channel partners. Essentially what we'll have, I think we're putting together between us is a matrix of the different network options and the technologies they support. Yeah? So you kind of got a combination of network, supported technology, price implications, other quality metrics, but we'll make it easier for the channel partner. So we'll basically say, for this scenario, this is the network to pick, or this is the SIM to choose.
Yeah, because I'm used to a SIM being a SIM on single network MVNO. So we've got that's more work. Yeah, when's a SIM not a SIM? When it's a narrowband IoT SIM, as it were. So interesting stuff. And I'm guessing the IoT hardware manufacturers also have some skill in the game here, and they will be able to say, we are compatible with this SIM type. I'm guessing.
Well, it's probably our job as well. So I think all manufacturers have a specification of their equipment. So from that we'll be able to understand what is the radio modem, and what does it support? What are the frequency bands that are supported? What are the technologies that are supported? And based on that, we will, we'll make our recommendations. The other thing, obviously, we can do for partners who are, likely to do large volumes of a particular device is test that device for them. So we can help them look at the specifications to say, yes, this will work well on our service. And it's not just the 3 UK service in this case, it's, perhaps all the UK operators and some overseas operators as well, because this is a global service. This will work anywhere in the world. And we could actually then test the devices. If they've got a really big deal that's dependent on everything working well with these devices, so we could test for them and with them.
And that's almost, we're guilty of that being a flippant comment of we'll test some devices, but essentially that's so important because we don't want the incorrect SIM in the incorrect device to be shipped out somewhere abroad for it not to work and then come back. We want to support the partner and make sure it's the correct tick box journey all the way, because I suppose most of the idea of IoT is that you don't go and revisit that SIM card, you don't go and revisit that piece of kit. It's going to be deployed for as long as it possibly can be it battery driven or not. So if we can help there with bench testing, then we will, which is great news.
You talk about the different connectivity types with NB-IoT and LTE-M. Do we also provide a number of SIM form factors? So I know with an iPhone, with my phone, it takes an eSIM, it takes a nano SIM.
Yes.
You're not old enough, Jamie. I can remember credit card size ones. In fact, I can remember when they weren't SIM cards. But anyway, you're showing you.
But I think with the breadth of use cases with IoT, there's so many devices out there. They take different SIM card types.
Yes.
Is that something we'll cater for with Fusion IoT?
That's a really good question, Jamie. And yes, all our offerings come with the full range of formats. And if a channel partner has a deal with a manufacturer, because I think one of the interesting things here actually is that, the routes to market can be different. So if you've got a partner that's built a relationship with a manufacturer and that manufacturer wants to create an eSIM capable device, for example. So yeah, rather than having the SIM slot, I want to save some space in the device, make it more cost effective, I'll put an eSIM in there. That partner can actually provide a Gamma eSIM chip to that manufacturer. So the manufacturer becomes a route to market for the channel partner, and we can support the channel partner by providing the eSIM capability for that manufacturer.
So eSIM as well as narrowband, as well as
my mind's
LTE.
already.
All of the usual. If you have a SIM slot on a device, you've kind of got a triple SIM, haven't you? And your solution, you either say it's a standard traditional SIM, which is what Rob and I remember from the old days, and before SIMs. There's a micro SIM and there's a nano SIM. So we support all of those across all of the different network options, and we also support the eSIM form factors as well.
So what you're saying is IoT it goes beyond our traditional just channel partners, telco channel partners. Manufacturers can now become a channel partner as well as those solution providers.
Yeah, manufacturers, systems integrators, IoT solutions providers. If a business wants to implement IoT, there are a number of things that need to happen. I mean, first of all, it's to look at how can IoT help my business? Yeah, so you've got some upfront from business process analysis, perhaps. How can you help me underpin my business processes? You've then got to look at, is there a radio signal available? What radio signal's available? Do I need a private network? And then you get onto, the kind of devices that you may need to use, and the connectivity solution. And our solution will work with both private and public networks.
Yeah.
So I remember that our colleagues from Germany were explaining that there was no one solution ever. Customers will come to us with devices that need SIM cards. End customers will come to us with problems that need solutions. And they were explaining that, there's a solution for everything, but you have to work through it, be it the way that the tariffing is built, the engineering of the SIM card, of which there are different types, as we've discussed, the type of hardware, whether it's battery packed or powered. It's there's lots of moving parts, but I don't think we need to let that be too daunting. And certainly our colleagues in Germany seem to take it in their stride. That is just the nature of IoT, and I suppose that's what makes it exciting. Certainly feels exciting compared to, dare I say, it's standard mobile in the UK, where we're dealing with the iPhone and the Samsung market, and a little bit of a race to the unlimited bottom. So
it sounds like the perfect sales pitch, Rob.
I don't know about that.
Any solution we can help, but it actually is.
Well, I suppose there is that. But what I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't be too daunted by it, and partners shouldn't be either. And certainly that's what our German colleagues have been talking about. But essentially exciting because we're dealing with just different projects, different scenarios, different analytics, different types of customer. It's going to be quite interesting, really. I wonder what the first set of deals that will get over the line, or certainly our channel will get over the line in the next 6 or 12 months will be. Because there isn't a one size fits all. In fact, there's not even a 10 sizes fit all. It's crazy. It's going to be great.
I think there's. I think actually it shouldn't be too daunting for channel partners. I mean, we're bringing an ecosystem together of people who can help. In the different aspects of defining and implementing IoT solutions. But I think even if we look at what a lot of channel partners do today. So, for example, if they're providing fixed connectivity and routers, and they may be providing fast start and backup solution. So, typical use case: a retailer opens a new store, wants to start generating money from that investment straight away. They don't want to wait 3 months until the fixed line communications have been installed, so they can start using their tills. We provide SIMs that go into routers in the premises, and that enables the data that's being generated in store, from the tills and everything, to reach the outside world, and they can kind of interact with head office, with center, and that enables them to get up and running straight away. Once the fixed line connectivity is installed, then mobile becomes the backup, right? So if someone drills through a cable, your fixed line connection goes down, you can still operate over mobile. So I think those will be kind of use cases that our traditional channel partners are used to, and data-only type services. Well, the IoT solution also applies to those more traditional data type solutions. And what we're really seeing is use cases blending really around a common solution. So my guess is that in a year, things like fast start and backup we'll just refer to as IoT.
I think it puts Gamma in good stead because we've got that wide lens of communications for businesses. And IoT just sort of builds on that now. As you said, we already provide fast start connectivity, and technically we already provide IoT. But now we're just building with our new IoT proposition we can understand those different parts of the business and maybe customer experience where things can help and how IoT can sort of aid with that. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's exciting, really exciting.
Yeah. And do we want to talk about the business model that we're going to apply here? Because I guess for us, for our partners, it's pretty much a continuation, at least at day one, of what we do already.
In my simple mind, it's fairly straightforward. It's a wholesale operation. They get access to the portal, and I don't think I'm used to some of the terminologies that have been used, but there'll be a customer login, so customers can do those light moves, adds, changes that customers like to do, and just check that a SIM is pulsing and things like that. There'll be a partner access. Obviously, they can build the SIM cards and build their customers and do all those moves, adds, changes, and administrations. We'll have access, obviously, where we can help and do things, that kind of grandfather view, as we call it, where we're all seeing to everyone, so we can assist there, akin to the standard Gamma portal as well. But as I alluded to at the very beginning, I think I'm quite keen on partners to be mildly educated on what they've got access to before we give access to it. So there will be some sort of accreditation. It's been thrashed out as we sit here talking through the learning team and things like that. So yeah, some sort of accreditation, but nothing too daunting. And obviously all of the educational pieces that we'll have to build and the collateral around it, but a wholesale model essentially, where they buy off us at X and mark up and sell at Y.
And we're happy to hold their hand in that interim period to get them up and running.
So obviously launched in Germany, and we keep saying, and our colleagues in Germany are fully versed because that's their operational business model, and they run it very well. So my plan is for the mobile specialists to have access to the portal and that training and to be able to be mobilised, albeit virtually, to do training or out in person, which is what I'd prefer, to go and visit some people. So please do, if you are a channel partner watching this, please do reach out to us, iot@gamma.co.uk, and we'll set up some dates to go out in person when we're operational. And yeah, that's what I really need to do, because as we spoke about in the last 20 minutes, there are so many moving parts, but not to be daunted by it, that I want to make sure that they're explained correctly. So it's easy for me to quite flippantly say it's a wholesale model, and we're all nodding, but you know what lies underneath that. I mean, even the portal is so in depth and has so many kind of reporting capabilities and so many moving parts to it, that it's important that people know what they can go out there and sell. A little bit of education will go a really long way and help get deals over the line and get the partners connecting and growing. So very flippant to say wholesale, but that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think we believe that we've got a really strong offering. You know, we are going to bring to market a fabulous offering that we think that for our partners that are already in the IoT space and the kind of experts in their own right, will give them an extra advantage to go and do more business. And for those partners who are fresh into the market, it's a really great opportunity to build a new revenue stream, you know, on top of what they already do. I mean, thanks for that, Rob, on the kind of explaining the model. I kind of translate that into what that means for partners, I think, from a technical perspective. So as you said, it's a wholesale model. So the partner owns the customer contract, which means they're building their asset value. And this is something that we have always supported within Gamma. Interestingly, in the German market, it's more a dealer type model. So in Germany, partners prefer, I think, to introduce the business and to support from an account management point of view, for kind of the Epsilon Gamma business in Germany to do the work. on an ongoing basis. So they kind of have a slightly different model where they get a commission as a partner, but the contract's owned by Gamma. In the UK, we're applying our traditional model and saying, right, it's wholesale, you own the customer, and you can build the asset value of your business. Having said that, because we support the dealer model in Germany, the capability is already there within our platform to support dealer if it becomes something that partners are asking for. If they'd rather just dip a toe in the water and start on an easier model, over time we can start to consider that. From a billing point of view, things should work as they do now for channel partners. So they will receive billing records through from the Gamma wholesale billing system in the same way that they do now. And as you say, Rob, they can then mark up the rating on those CDRs and charge their customers, accordingly. So, from their point of view, if they're selling Gamma Mobile at the moment, not a great deal of difference in that basic model. But as you say, it's a different product, different nuances that we need to help them become aware of.
So with IoT, are there security measures within these IoT devices that can protect businesses? Like, we've got all these SIM cards and devices. What stops me from taking a SIM card out of that device, putting it into my iPad or my phone, and watching YouTube, for example? Is there something that can protect business against that?
So like borrowing it over the weekend to...
exactly.
And the company pays to use it. Actually, we do have a really neat feature called IMEI lock on the platform. And what that means is that when a customer first inserts the SIM into the device, they can select IMEI lock. And we mentioned before, I think Rob kind of talked about it a little bit, that we've got these different levels, different layers of usage. So a channel partner will be able to do everything they need to do to manage their base. They can also allow customers, their end customers, to self-manage as well. So it's up to the channel partner to decide what they want to allow their customer to do. And quite often, partners will be happy for their end customers to add and remove bars, add new SIMs and so on, as long as something isn't too impacting on the bill and the financials, and then maybe the partner wants to have a look at it. But one of the things that can be done is to set an IMEI lock. So the SIM goes into the device, you select IMEI lock, and IMEI stands for the International Mobile Equipment Identifier. And it's a serial number that is specific to that particular device. So my phone has an IMEI, your phone has an IMEI, the tracker in a truck has an IMEI. And if Jamie decides to take the SIM out at the weekend and put it in his iPad, that has a different IMEI. And as soon as we detect on the network that you're using a different device, customers set the IMEI lock, that SIM will be barred.
Interesting.
Until, your boss catches up with you.
That's me rumbled.
Jamie, this looks like your iPad. Give us a SIM back, and then it can be kind of reset.
Interesting.
So that's a good one. I think also in terms of security, there is an IoT equivalent of mobile device management. Okay. So people are aware of things like Intune, SOTI, IBM Mass 360, which they would typically have used to manage their smartphone fleet. There are also solutions available for IoT devices as well. So you can kind of manage your fleet. You've got some kind of parameters that you can ensure people work within, and you can kind of block threats when someone's trying to attack the device directly. And then from a network point of view, as people probably know, we bring all data traffic for Gamma Mobile customers back to the UK. We are planning to do the same thing for our multi-network SIMs. So we will bring data traffic back from one of the overseas operators, let's say. We'll bring it back to the Gamma network, and we can then route that where the customer needs us to route it. So if it's, say, a public sector customer and they want to apply their own security policies to that traffic, so their own filtering, where certain sites are being blocked or only certain sites being allowed, and they want us to apply the same policies that they would apply to kind of fixed line data traffic, then they can do that, and we can route that traffic straight to them. And what that does as well is it means that we're taking the data straight off the network and we're reducing the area of attack, for hackers. So we're minimizing risk. So you've got a combination of things like the IMEI iLock, smart provisioning type things that we can do to protect you. There's kind of mobile device management software we can put onto the device. And you have our ability to manage the data securely for you.
Sounds like more collateral has to be built. Some education going to go on here. But it's important that we point that out, because a deal could be won or lost on something about security. So we need to spell out and make sure that it's understood what we can do and what partners and customers have got access to. Because I suppose as things get more sophisticated, the airtime, the hardware, and in turn, unfortunately, the negative aspect, the hackers and the techniques that they use, we need to make sure that we're on top of anything secure.
It's education.
And educating what we can get around,
But just thinking about it, we've not really talked too much about tariffs, and it's probably a little bit early for us to talk too much about what we're going to put in the market. But again, I think features of what we will be supporting are things like data pooling across multiple operators. So we've talked earlier about the fact we have access to 7 or 8. We're actually integrating 2 more, so it's going to be 9 operators that we're pulling into the platform. Each of those operators has strengths and weaknesses in different countries, with different technologies, so on and so forth. So it's quite feasible that a channel partner across their estate may have gamma service from 3 or 4 different operators, even across one customer, within their estate, because IoT deployments can be quite large. What we will be able to do is to make that really simple for the partner, really simple for the end customer by saying, okay, you have a data allowance per SIM, but we can aggregate that across the whole of the base, and it doesn't matter what the underlying SIM is, what the underlying operator is. It could be 4 or 5 different operators that we're using, 4 or 5 different sets of roaming agreements that we're using, but we keep it simple for you so you can manage the customer just at the customer level and not need to worry too much about what's underneath.
And it sounds obvious when you say it then, but so 4 or 5 different operators that an end customer could have access to on behalf of a partner, and it does sound obvious when I say it, but that is on our one pane of glass, the Fusion IoT platform that I've got access to through our one billing platform with the CDRs as well. So we are distilling it all into, but I have to log onto multiple platforms, multiple network platforms. It's all in one place as it should be. But it is worth just mentioning that because it is so obvious that maybe people just expect it. So, or people that haven't dealt with IoT before are wondering how we do get 8, 9 different carriers across the board. It is all in one place on one pane of glass.
It's all in one place, and as far as you're concerned as the partner, obviously you know what you're selling, right? And you will have used the Gamma Guide, and you will have selected the right operators. Yeah, Gamma Guide, add that to your list, based on the different use cases. But one customer may have several SIMs, as you say, Rob. They manage everything through the one portal, one pane of glass, one set of APIs if they're using APIs. It's one stream of billing CDRs, so you don't need multiple integrations. We kind of already done that pre-integration work, and really, really easy to manage.
With large enterprise businesses in the public sector, especially in the mobile sort of traditional mobile side of things, you see data pulling within mobile devices, that type of thing.
Okay.
So obviously with the wide range of use cases with IoT, there might be thousands of devices out in the field.
Yes.
Does IoT have that capability to pull data and share one pot of data?
Yes, exactly. That's essentially what we're talking about. It's to be able to have, you could have 6 different operators within the solution, but when I say operators, it's the roaming partners that we're using, that we're integrating into the Gamma business, and we will allow you to pool across all of those different SIMs.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a customer with 10,000 SIMs, there may be 1,500 with one type of SIM, one operator, 3,000 with another, and essentially you can add all the data together that you've purchased for those operators and pool. So if one SIM goes over their, let's say, 3 gig allowance, actually, as long as another SIM has not gone over the 3 gig allowance, you can offset.
And that's across all networks.
Yes.
That's not just
across all networks on the IoT platform.
So we've talked about access and one portal and multiple networks. Is it worth talking a little bit about, and we talked about SIM cards, but we didn't really talk about eSIM. So eSIM will be launched in time, probably in beginning of 2025, as far as Fusion Gamma IoT is concerned. So I dare say it's down to the hardware manufacturers to sort of pull their fingers out and make sure some of their devices are eSIM compatible. Certainly the phone manufacturers have for many years, but I imagine there's a lot of hardware manufacturers out there that are looking at transferring to eSIM. But we have a solution if they haven't, which is removable eSIM.
Yes.
Without making it sound too confusing.
Yes.
So eSIM will come, and removable eSIM, which, as far as I understand it, is a physical SIM card that will take an eSIM profile onto it.
Yes.
So we can make a standard piece of equipment that takes a normal SIM card, eSIM compatible, which surely just moves mountains as far as IoT is concerned, because we're future-proofing that piece of hardware across multiple networks, multiple countries as well. You can deploy one piece of hardware out into France, Spain, Germany, keep it in the UK. I don't think I'm explaining it very well, but
I think you're doing a pretty good job. But essentially, you are right. So what we're creating 2 flavors of eSIM. One is more like a traditional eSIM chip that a manufacturer can put into a device. And in any device, actually, to make eSIM work, there's all kinds of smarts and software in the device that allows the device to, interact with the network to pull a profile down and kind of assimilate it onto the SIM chip in the device. So as you say, Rob, you can switch from one network to another, one provider to another relatively easily.
So that's already embedded in the hardware.
Yeah. So if again, if a channel partner has a relationship with a device manufacturer, then one of the things that they can offer is to say, well, do you want to make your device eSIM capable? And we can support that. However, something like 80 or 90% of IoT devices on the market are not eSIM capable, remarkably. And if you think about where some of these things are, you mentioned earlier, I think, Jamie, SIMs being in routers, in vans, traveling up and down the country. You imagine if you want to change your underlying provider, you've got to pull all that fleet off the road.
That would be a nightmare.
Just swap the SIMs out. We've got SIMs in remote locations, tracking pollution in rivers, tracking conditions and on wind turbines and whether the wind turbine is working. And you imagine trying to swap those out. I mean, it's a huge, very costly task. You can make those devices eSIM capable, so you swap out the device, which means you've got to make a massive investment in new hardware, or you can take a gamma removable eSIM, which you can then insert into the SIM slot, and as you say, Rob, it will make that device eSIM capable. And what we do essentially is, an eSIM chip has different software on it, different operating system, different silicon. It is slightly different to the traditional SIM. On top of that, we have software and have an applet on the SIM that does all the difficult stuff that an eSIM device will do in interacting with the network to pull a profile down. So that's essentially what we're doing. We're taking what you would have in an eSIM capable device and we're putting that on the SIM. And that means that your traditional IoT device that is not eSIM capable suddenly is capable of receiving eSIM profiles.
I'm guessing as well from a business perspective, you can massively save on your costs there because you've got your existing devices, so you don't need to spend money on new devices to make them eSIM capable.
Yeah.
We can just use that technology that you've already got.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you've got thousands of devices out there in relatively inaccessible locations. We all know that networks do have problems, whichever network it is. You only have to have a problem with the roaming service of your provider, and suddenly you've lost connectivity until that service is fixed. Right? This way, we could ensure you've got a couple of profiles on the device. Any eSIM solution you get from Gamma, you will have at least 2 profiles on the SIM anyway. So if your main profile you're using falls over because the underlying operator has a problem, and they all do from time to time, you'll switch over seamlessly to the second profile on the SIM. If we find that the primary operator is having too many performance problems or cost becomes an issue, then we can actually switch out that provider for somebody else. Yeah. So it gives you lots of flexibility.
I suppose it's it's obvious, or it might not be. It's obvious to us, might not be obvious to us, but we will get asked the question in the inbox or via the partners. But that eSIM and removable eSIM technology is completely independent to the tariffing. You don't have to have a particular tariff because you've got eSIM, a particular roaming tariff because you've got removable eSIM. It's a technology that floats above all of that, so it is agnostic, which is great. So
yeah, it's just a delivery mechanism to get the coverage solution onto the device, isn't it? So yeah, you could put a traditional SIM in a SIM slot, or you could get a profile sent over the air.
We've talked about this for a long time, and going back to the beginning of the conversation, because we've been sort of courting getting Fusion IoT released in the UK. So this still doesn't feel absolutely like ingrained in me yet. Or then we'll be talking about it for 6 or 12 months. But the amount of moving parts just proves that we've got a solution that will cover nearly everything. Absolutely come to us with any of the deals, and we'll try and get them over the line because we've got so many moving parts. But it also means that we have got a lot of work to do to educate partners, as I keep going on about, and making sure that they understand what they have access to. And that's really, apart from it being on us to create that collateral and create that training, I suppose it's on the partner as well. And to some degree, some of these end customers that don't know what they've got access to, because why would they? And be able to get the messaging out there that everyone's open for business and there are solutions, albeit some of them that haven't been found yet, we can work together on to get stuff over the line. So that's what makes it exciting.
You've got to get on road again.
I've already done enough miles. Surely. Spend enough time in petrol stations. So, but that's what makes it exciting though, is that, we aren't just stealing airtime from other places. There are end customers here that will create solutions and need the analytics to be built. They haven't done so yet. Hence the amount of SIM cards that it's going to grow by in the next. What was it? We're doubling the amount of SIMs, 28 million to another.
I think
the
it's
next
about
3 years.
32 million now in the market in the UK.
Yeah,
and I think by the end of 2028, analysts forecast it'll get to 65 million. So, as we were saying, this is a massive opportunity for channel partners to expand their portfolios. And as you said, we've got a range of different channel partners. Some are already in the IoT space and are already experts in that space.
Yeah.
And I guess, they will just take our solution, integrate it into what they've got, and they're away. There are other partners who may need a bit more support, and we as Gamma will absolutely support them to get up to speed, build the knowledge that they need. And again, the accreditation process will be an important part of that.
So to bolster some of the data, because there are people that are watching this going, well, it all sounds great, but there's a lot of work involved, and I need to educate my sales team or at least get some information out to customers. So there's a formal launch at Gammaverse, which is the 10th of October. So hopefully a lot of channel partners are there in person. And I know that we 3 are there in person as well on the day, talking about it.
We'll also be demoing on the day.
So there's a demo, which is 10th of October, live in the place in Westminster, QE2 building. That's it. So I'm repeating myself terribly here, aren't I? That's October. Then November, we will be reaching out via standard Gamma salespeople and specialists to go, we're live, we're going out there and talking to those key partners that are desperate to get some deals over the line. And then we're expecting the kind of standard launch to occur first part of the new year in January, when people have had time to kind of digest the tariffs, the information, get themselves accredited over that sort of 2 or 3 month period.
Yeah.
And then the wheels are absolutely rolling then from 2025 Q1 onwards.
Yeah. So from a technical capability point of view, underpinning that plan, we will have the technical solution in place for Gammaverse. as you said, Jamie will be doing probably, I think it's quite an exciting demo on some of the applications around IoT. We will then be kind of operating at a very low volume with a couple of early channel partners that want to come on board, just to stress test processes so that by the time we go really big bang at the beginning of January, everyone can be confident the platform's in place, it's performing really well, the underpinning support processes are there, and they're performing really well as well. So partners can be really comfortable and confident to come on board with us.
And that sounds very sort of corporate vague in a way, with a handful of channel partners. So there are partners that we are talking to that have helped us build the proposition, and we're talking to them about it. If there are any other partners that feel that they have a burning deal that they need to get live, then if they email into iot@gamma.co.uk, that will be managed by the specialist team. So if we can help, then we absolutely will, because we understand that deals take time anyway. So if the ball needs to start rolling straight after Gammaverse, then please do reach out to us. Find me at Gammaverse, or email into iot@gamma.co.uk, where me and my team will help. So
perfect,
exciting times. A lot of stuff to do.
Collateral, education, not being daunted by it. All the moving parts. It's going to be fantastic.
Let's do it.
Great. Okay, well, I think that was a really good discussion. Actually, enjoyed that. I'm glad you both, on the ball, and we're getting ready. I've got confidence things are going to happen, and we're going to be ready to launch this into the channel. But thank you for joining me today. It was really great. Really enjoyed it, and thank you for joining us too. And please look out for more information on our fabulous IoT proposition as it emerges.